Right, well, for the last time, thankfully, for a season or for a good few months anyway, it's all done and dusted with the window. How do you assess your squad as you come out of it for the rest of the campaign?
Pleased with what we've got. I think spoke about it last time. We knew end of the summer we were carrying a couple too many. So obviously when you make decisions coming into January, I think it was quite clear that we needed to trim a few. And I think the biggest bit is what we're finishing the window with. And I think when you look at it, look at the progress in the squad in a year. We've got more options, got more depth, got more quality, got more different profiles. So we're definitely finishing the window in a better spot than we were a year ago. So for me, I think that's the bit I'm looking forward to seeing what the group can do in the remainder of the season.
And finances are obviously key in all this, but I'm sure there were conversations about if you could do something, because every manager, it's always, is there one more piece?
Yeah, of course. I think that's part of my job is to push for everything, right? I think that's part of my job is to push. And like I've been quite clear, I think from day one, I also I have a huge amount of respect for what gets put in. So yeah, I think that's the biggest bit. Is was there anything there that you could have done to maybe add? Which we all know January is a really difficult market. I think you often when you look at it, people are gambling or you're overpaying. Anyone that's settled and performing well, you can't get unless you're willing to pay a fortune. So you then end up gambling people that have either been injured or not been in teams or been on the fringes of things, which that carries risk as well. You risk unsettling the group that you've got currently. So it's one of those. I'll always push for more. I'll always push. To improve things and to raise the level. But I think that you also have to make sure you do what's right for the club in the longer term as well.
Obviously, some senior players and some youngsters have gone out to get minutes and go to other clubs. Were there possibilities of other players, or was it always you're happy with the numbers that left?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. I think there was a couple of other options to move people out. Quite obvious. Sykes had a bit of interest, but we obviously made the decision on Sykes. He's in a good spot. He's done really well, so delighted we could keep him. There was some interest in Corns as well, to be fair, but been really pleased. Corns brings a huge amount behind the scenes, and he's had to keep his head down and graft, but culturally he's excellent. So I think I finished the window. It's done. It's now my head now goes on to Sunday and making sure that we do what we can to go and win.
With Harry, obviously that's his decision in part to stay. Does it change anything, the fact that there's no opportunity now for him till the end of the season other than to force his way into your first team in some way? Yeah,
that's the bit. I think that's the bit. I've got a really good relationship with Harry, and we have all the way along. I know he's not been in a few squads recently, but I can't speak highly enough how he's trained. And again, I think that's twofold. I think it speaks volumes about him as a person, a professional, but also the relationship I have with him. We've regularly sat down and had conversations and been quite transparent along the way. There was, if there was something there for him that was, interesting, it was one that, he could explore. But at the same point, if we finished the window and he was here, he's very much part of what we're trying to do. And that's where, again, I think, being open, being honest, having, sometimes difficult conversations, I think helps culturally and helps, people just be clear where they're at. So he's definitely someone that obviously, is in contention now.
And the one thing, last bit about all of that is that in the statement said that you will at some point, hopefully the next few days, weeks, sign his deal. Is that something that you thought would happen in the summer, or have you liked what you've seen of him so far, even though he hasn't perhaps got the minutes recently?
Yeah, it was something I think quite clear all the way along, and working abroad probably helped me understand how it takes time for players to transition, to settle. It's a huge move for him. The language thing, he's still on 2 English lessons a week, which is progressing. Also, when you look at it in his career, he's not, played 7-8 seasons. He's still quite early in his career, so to come here off the back of a half season in the J League, it's going to be an 18-month season for him. So there's also that freshness, the energy, that side of it, that's quite important. So he's done really well. He's had really good impact. I think there's probably a little bit less pressure on him at the minute, purely from the fact that the factors I just spoke about. But he's someone that's really exciting. I think when you look at it, the bits he has contributed have been excellent at times, and I think it's one of those we want to push him for the last 16 to keep contributing, to keep increasing numbers with goals and assists, and then I think the pressure probably increases a little bit next season on him.
Fair enough. And in terms of this weekend, obviously the red cards from the weekend are going to be a miss. Anything else in terms of injuries or players coming back?
No, all good.
Which is nice. It does give you, I guess, defensively a little bit of a headache in terms of numbers again.
No, I think when you look at it, I think a few Corns, Elijah, Pringy's back on the grass and pushing. So yeah, we obviously lose the lads this weekend, but I think what we've got behind that is options, and got some quality, to step in and take that place. So I think that's the biggest bit now. we've had competition, we've needed the competition, and it's my job to make sure that we manage it right, and when people get the opportunity, they grab it.
And you've come to the end of the window, and it's not quite home straight yet, but you're in the sort of, you're getting to that point, and you're touching distance from where you want to be. You're fully in the mix.
Yeah, we're in a good spot. I think it's naturally you reflect back. I think on the games we've had so far, probably a little bit frustrated, disappointed not to have more points. I think given how well at times the lads have performed, but we're in a good spot. I think the lads. The weekend was terrific. I think it kind of epitomised everything you want culturally. The toughness, the resilience, the togetherness, the fight we had to show for 60 minutes with 10 men. Speaks volumes about the group of lads we've got. We're really proud of them at the weekend. I thought they were excellent. And it's taken that same level of focus into this week. And it's a tough week. I think the scheduling terrific. When you look at it, I think it's terrible. Talk a lot about the integrity of the competition, but when you look at the organisation and the timings to go Sunday, Wednesday night and early on a Saturday is just madness, but it is what it is. I think it's one that we have to deal with, and again you need the options, you need the depth, and again I think we've shown before that turning around quickly in games I think is a strength of ours. We can bounce from Sunday into Wednesday quite well, so we'll need everybody to be fresh, to be in a good spot and ready to contribute.
So when you've got so many matches in such a small space of time, do you have sort of a plan in your mind of roughly what you'd like to happen, or is there too many moving parts to even have to think about Wednesday and next Saturday?
What I'd like to happen is we win and nobody gets injured. That easy, right? I think the big bit is take Sunday, do everything to win Sunday, and then we work off the back of that. I think I've said it before. I think you can be too cute and clever and try and plan changes and manipulate situations, and I think it comes back and bites you a little bit. So I'll be picking a team to win on Sunday, and then after the game assess where we're at, and then get ready to go again.
And I think I know the answer to the question before I ask it, but it's never going to stop me before. These 3 games, people will look at them and think this is an amazing opportunity for you to really not just be on the fringes of a playoff race, get yourself right in the middle of it.
Yep. It's a good opportunity. Look, we're at that stage of the season. I think when you look at it, I think in terms of elements of pressure, you get into it's a marathon of a season. It's relentless. We're 2/3 of the way through. We got a third to go. I think it's not going to make or break the season this week, but it'll definitely it can contribute to where we want to get to. So I think it's one of those where my message to the lads won't change. They've trained well this week. The prep will be there, but ultimately the second the whistle starts, just enjoy the challenge, leave it all out there. Believe in what we're trying to do, and like I said, I've got so much confidence in the group that when we're at our best, we can beat anybody. And
just finally, Swansea, you've always had close games with them, but they're coming into this on the back of some poor form.
Yeah, which arguably makes them more dangerous, right? I think they'll be looking for a response, and the window unsettles people. I think, naturally January's a tough month from that perspective. So now it's closed, they know what they're working with. Luke knows what he's got. I think it's one of those where form's there to be changed, right? I think the second you come off it a couple of percent, you're in trouble. So control us, control our behaviours, control our quality, go into the game being the best versions of ourselves. Thank you.
Liam, you mentioned Cam's back on the grass for this weekend. Be a bit too soon for him?
Yeah, a little bit. He's definitely heading in the right direction. He's not a million miles away, but yeah, the next week's probably a little bit too early at the minute.
You've mentioned with Sinclair and his pace, sometimes you've got to look after those players a bit more. Does Cam kind of fall into that category a bit, given the way he plays?
Yeah, I think he will do. I think that's what's probably slightly frustrating about the scheduling this week. We've got it this week, and then the programme's pretty forgiving, and then we have another crazy week down the line. So I think it's one of those where this week will be too early for Pringy's. Once you get through that, there's a fair few Saturdays. So I think it's one of those where we can manage him back in and get a decent training load into him and get him into a good spot. So we obsess on planning. We have lots of meetings. The discussions will be there to go right. What's appropriate for for Pringy, for Sinks, for whoever it is.
Looking back at Joe's red card, I'm guessing you haven't decided to appeal or anything, because I know you had slightly mixed views on it on Saturday.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's soft, but I also half see what a ref gives it. I think my opinion to what I said after the game has probably not changed. Joe gives him the opportunity a little bit, but at the same point, saw a lot worse tackles. The one on Joe probably before that from Greg Lee was, arguably worse as well. So it's one of those. I think it's frustrating to lose Joe. He's come back. He's worked so hard to get back, and then obviously the only probably blessing is it's 7-8 days he misses and not a 2-week period. So it's one of those we didn't appeal it.
I tried to have a look at the rules. Is it a one-game ban or is it more than that? Because like, the rules online aren't even clear, so I can't imagine
more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
Three. You're expecting
So,
three.
yeah.
That's obviously a blow when you've got the games in such quick succession. To not leaving you slightly light in midfield. Did you feel you've got enough to cope?
Yeah, we didn't have him for 2 months, so we'll be all right. Yeah.
George Earthy obviously started last weekend, and so much of his performance was good. I thought everyone wanted him to score that chance when he brought it down really well. What did you make of his performance in general?
Yeah, you kind of assess it in sections, right? Before the red and after the red. I think, in terms of, especially after the red card, he put in a real shift for the team. I think it changes the focus then, his job. Can he be trusted? Is he reliable defensively? And I thought, the way he, especially how he shifted across the pitch, killed spaces, got pressure on the ball, all the, the bit switch, as an attacking midfielder, sometimes you question whether they're able to. I thought he showed a real level of maturity in managing the situation. And I know he's in his own head about the chance. I think that's the bit we said about is, hey, go and be brave, go and take the opportunity, go and make the most of it.
It's easy to forget, isn't it? Because he's come from a Premier League club, just how young he is. It is his first real season of professional football, week in, week out. Where do you feel he is at the moment in his development?
Yeah, I was talking to Hockey about it yesterday, actually. I think the expectation here to West Ham probably changed. I think, West Ham, he's around it. He's obviously been on the bench, had a few minutes, but we're probably a low expectation to play. He obviously comes here desperate to play, comes here, with a motivation, a goal off playing. So it's a different emotional, and it's a different pressure for him. He's a terrific footballer, terrific character. He's someone that I think had really, really good impact when we've needed him to. And he definitely gives me a headache in terms of team selection, which, for someone on a first loan away from a, big Prem Cat 1 club, I think it is it's credit to him how he's done. And the challenges in those little key moments, make the most of them. I think they're the bits. Don't be nearly. Make sure that you grab that opportunity, which I have no doubt, seeing his quality every day in training, that he will do.
Keeping Mark Sykes obviously beyond January's a boost, but Matt's fitting the option as well to keep him till next summer. That must be really pleasing for you that you've got someone with that quality tied down for such a long period as well. Yeah,
he's done well, Sykes. Injury came at a bad time probably. I thought he'd just started to pick up a bit of form. I thought he'd got to a good spot. Obviously then injury set him back a little bit, which was a little bit longer than what we'd probably hoped for. And then I think, since he's come back in, he's done extremely well. I had a chat with him today about it. Keeping that edge to him, because when he's got it, I think he produces the moments. You see Sheffield Wednesday away, 2 terrific deliveries. I thought, quality in the finish at the weekend. He's contributing in ways that I know he's desperate to, and I want him to as well. So I've been really pleased with him, and it's obviously I think it helps him and helps the club just have clarity in what the future looks like for him at the minute.
Did you have full faith when it was him on the edge of the box? I know he mentioned in his interview there were a few people on the bench doubting when they realised it was him taking the shot.
Did he name anyone?
He didn't, no.
Of course I do, yeah. Yeah, no, it's one of those, like I said at the weekend, credit to Pat, credit to people working on it. Watching it back, actually, I thought the ball was a lot cleaner across the box, but having seen it, I think, in terms of, it was actually quite lively, it was bouncing quite a bit. The control on it was excellent. I thought it was, a moment of real quality which deserved to get us something from the game.
Obviously, you're one of a number of right-backs failed to you. All over the pitch now, you do have options. You mentioned last week, January, where the squad was at. How does that change your role? Because obviously there's a lot of personalities, a lot of people that want to be playing. That I know it's not your job to keep them happy, but you want the squad that's happy. How does that change how you have to approach things?
I don't think it changes from what I've done all season, to be fair. I think in terms of I'm quite clear with the lads. It's about the team. It's not about them. I think that's the big bit. It's making sure that when people step on the pitch, they give everything from the team. Whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 90 minutes, 60, whether you don't play. I think that's where some of the lads, like I say, Corns, who hasn't had minutes, has contributed still massively behind the scenes, and it's quite a difficult thing to do, especially in where the world's at today. I understand people have their individual motivations, but it's a lot easier to achieve that. And for the team to be successful, if everybody buys into that, if the team does well, then off the back of it, individually, people will. So I think we've got a group of lads that are hungry, that are ambitious, that want to get better. And I think if there's guarantees that you're going to play every week, you're not going to achieve the level you're capable of. I think you only have to look at across even this division now. You look at what some of the top 4 sides that have done this window. What Premier League sides do, they're 2, 3 outstanding players in each position. So it brings an element of pressure where you've got to deliver. You might not get 5 or 6 games, the opportunity to build into something that, if we want to do, what we think we're capable of in the last 16 games, then you've got to deliver on Sunday, not, in 4 games' time.
Just on the window, there's been a bit of talk around fans that teams around you have strengthened, particularly at the top end of the pitch. Is that something you give any option to, any thought to at all, or are you very much just focused on what you're doing and confident in the group that you've got?
Yeah, of course, you keep an eye on it. I think it's I think you'll see in the future as well the Championship spending more money than it's ever done. But I can't control what other teams do. I can only control what we're capable of doing and what we can do, and where the lads are at. And like I said, for me, it's about building this group to a higher level. We've got ourselves in this position the first half of the season. Can we elevate our level? Can some of the top performances we had in the first 30 games that we didn't get points, can we turn that into wins to picking up more points, more clean sheets, more goals, and that's ultimately the challenge. So we had a chat with the lads when the window shut. Said, right, we're all in. This is everybody. Let's have a right go in the final third.
Just finally from me, speaking to Max Bird later. Obviously, he's somebody who's only stepped up to the Championship this time round, start of this season, but he's really made himself a consistent presence in your team. I just wondered what you've made of his starts like as a Bristol City player.
Yeah, I think he's been brilliant, Birdie. He kind of epitomises what you want in the culture. He's young in years, but when you look at it, he's over 200 career games, so he's actually quite experienced. And I think he's someone that is desperate to learn, desperate to get better, probably too intense at times around improving his game, which I'd much prefer that than having to drive someone myself. So I think in terms of how he's settled in, he fits the changing room terrifically well. His qualities are clear to see. I think especially when the game can be a little bit chaotic, he's actually the one that can find an element of composure and manages the regains for us on transition to just bring a little bit of quality and calmness. So he's done extremely well. I'm actually seeing him this afternoon to do some work with him, and going to be on him about goals and assists. I think he can contribute even more. But for like I said, the first 30 games we've done, he's been excellent.
Is that the next step for him? Do you think contributing more in the final third? Because like you say, so much of his work in the middle third of the pitch is good. Do you want to see more from him around the box?
Yeah, if seeing his quality every day, bits around the edge of the box. I think so what I'm looking at this afternoon with him. There was a couple against Plymouth. There was a chance against Luton, Portsmouth away, where there's a similar position where he lands on things and doesn't ask the question enough for me. So it's one of those. With all of them, they've got some super strengths and they've all got bits to work on. And I think it's one of those with Birdie. I think there's little bits of his game that can get him to the level he wants to get to.